Hi guys, welcome to DevOps World. This is Harish Kumar Reddy. So today I'm trying to discuss about very important topic regarding about DevOps. So basically, as we so far discussed about the Linux, and we are working on deployment today. So today I'm trying to tell you very clear information about in DevOps tools. Okay, so what is the main functionality of the DevOps and how we can work on the DevOps. Okay, so this is very important, guys, because if you're working on DevOps, definitely it might be very helpful to you, and you are trying to go with process according to the deployments. Okay, so basically, as we are trying to go with, before starting the introduction part of any tool, first we'll try to discuss about how we can work on the DevOps actually. Okay, so here you need to remember one thing very clearly. So whenever you are trying to go with any scenarios, so it might be very helpful to you to work under the progress. Okay, so now let us start how we can work on the functionalities of DevOps actually. First thing you need to remember, okay, in DevOps basically we are working with development we are working with development, plus we are working with operations. Okay, so what is meant by development, what is meant by operations, we need to know about this. Okay, so the second thing is, so DevOps, it's not a tool, it's not a software, it's a culture. DevOps, it's not a tool, it's not a software, it's a culture. Okay, or collaboration or process or methodology. So DevOps is not a tool, it's not a software, it's a culture. We are working with collaboration or process or methodologies. Okay, so now as so far we are trying to work under the progress under the DevOps. So basically we are trying to take as per the project, that is software development life cycle. Development cycle life cycle. Okay, that is, I can call this one as SDLC. So in this SDLC we are trying to go with so whenever you are trying to get any, like, initializing the project, suppose if the client is giving some project to you, so like example, if the client is giving some any business application project, so definitely we can looking for some requirements, right? The first one is we are looking for requirements. The second one is analysis, and third we are trying to go with implementation, and fourth we are trying to go with testing, and fifth I am trying to go with deployment, and sixth I am trying to go with production. Okay, so these are the things which we are expecting from the company. In our company we have all these things. Okay, so whenever the client is giving some business application to the project, definitely we have some standard of software development life cycle. So as so far we are trying to go with requirements and analysis. So requirements will come from the client. Okay, this is very simple. Requirements will come from the client. We need to take from the clients, so I'm trying to go with some example, guys. So I'm trying to go with documentation. We need to study the documentation, and we need to take the software so it is paid version, right? So the business application project, whatever we are trying to take, so definitely we need to take amount, we need to take any money, any requirement like softwares we need to purchase softwares from the client only. Okay, so the client will take initiate on this software environment, we can everything like comes a picture. Okay, like etc, we are trying to go with etc. Okay, now coming to analysis, this is very important. Okay, whatever you're trying to collect anything, definitely we are trying to go with first one is requirements. So with the requirements, then our software organization is trying to think what kind of like suppose I'm trying to take example of hotel. Okay, I'm trying to take example of hotel, so because I need to create an application of hotel. Okay, or restaurant, I'm trying to create a restaurant. Okay, so basically what is the main theme of these things here is we need to work. So we are trying to work on the restaurant. So what kind of restaurant you want, what kind of application you are trying to expecting from the customers. So customers are stakeholders for him. So client is expecting that he's giving some business requirement to the software company, and he will try to analyze this. I need this like this of restaurant, please try to do all these things. Okay, so you are working on these things. Okay, so now analysis will try to think so who is taking analysis? Definitely architects will take the analysis. Architects will try to go with analysis, he will try to go with a blueprint blueprint or blueprint or so he will try to go with blueprint or framework activity blueprint or framework activity. So we are trying to work on the framework activities. Okay, now once you're trying to work on the blueprint or framework activity like architecture form, then we are trying to start the main role is implementation. Who will do the implementation? Developers. So developers will try to do the implementation according to the framework activity. So what is the framework? In framework activity we have multiple modules. We have multiple modules. In these multiple modules we are trying to take a direction. So this analysis is trying to explain to implementation team, so that implementation will to look of the developers. Then developers is trying to think that so whatever we are trying to take from the client requirement in software environment, suppose I am trying to go with Java or Python or any environments. Okay, that is software environment. Okay, suppose I am taking the Java full stack. Okay, full stack development. In this Java full stack development, definitely we are trying to work on the different modular evaluations, that is multiple modules. So here we are looking for the team actually. So developers want, so single person can't do entire project. Definitely we have a team. So developers having, suppose we have some 10 members. So in these 10 members, everyone they'll try to take according to the modular evaluation. And suppose they will try, one person will go with a login page, one person will go with services, one person will go with API, one person will go with some interface level. So like this all the 10 members will try to take different modular evaluation based upon the blueprint. Okay, based upon the blueprint they'll try to go with this. So then they'll try to go with the making the implementation part. Okay, so this implementation will be done under the source code management. I can call this one as SCM. So, and one thing you have to remember, whenever you are working with source code management, once the completion of source code management, we are trying to go with maintenance. So the developer is trying to go with looking forward in future, that is version control system. Version control system. Version control system, I can call this one as VCS. Okay, so VCS. So here you need to understand very clearly about this. So whenever the developer is trying to maintain the any software environment, that software environment will try to they'll try to go with source code according to the implementation of project, and they'll try to maintain the version control system. Here you need to notice one thing very clearly: implementation and testing will be very important for the developer, for the software industries. Okay, so without developing the any process, definitely we are not trying to maintain the deployment team. Okay, so here what about the testing functionality? Testing functionality will try to create a testing strategies, testing like use cases, and they'll try to go with or they'll try to go with some different types of tools like manual or automation or selenium. So it depends upon the tool based wise activities, they'll try to go with implementation part. Okay, so and one thing, that implementation testing will be going very parallelly. Remember this: implementation testing will be very parallelly sequenced under the project. Okay, so here if you take any project like a hotel or restaurant, so suppose the client requirement is around 3 years. So you need to complete this project into within 3 years. So within 3 years, nearly 1.5 year will try to take 1.5 year will try to take or 1 2 years they'll try to take implementation testing team only. Okay, so then after that only we are working on deployment team. So we are trying to work on the deployment team. So here we are maintaining the DevOps tools. Okay, so here in DevOps tools, whatever you're working with DevOps tools, so from 1 to 4, from 1 to 5, I can call this one as CI, that is continuous integration. So continuous integration, this will be 24/7 process. 24/7 process. This is whatever we call, this is called a methodology. Remember this is called collaboration. We are working on collaboration. Okay, so this is called a collaboration, guys. So why I am telling the collaboration here is collaboration or process or methodology. Why I am telling here is, if you take any use case scenarios in day-to-day activities, so whatever you are trying to take from requirements to deployment team, that is 24/7 process. 24/7 process, that is comes a picture of continuous integration. Okay, so once you done the continuous integration progress, then we are trying to go with production team. So that is continuous delivery, CD. So we are working with CD, that is continuous delivery. We are working with continuous delivery. So we are working on continuous delivery. Okay, so he will try to go with build. So he will try to go with release. So release the kind of application, build and release. Okay, so he will go with build and release the concept. Okay, so this is all about the software development life cycle. So now here you need to go with the deployment team now. So in this deployment team, we are working on DevOps tools. So whatever you are trying to done from 1 to 4, so we are working with like a developer perspective, we are working with development plus operations, right? So here we are working on development side. So we are working on development side now. So here I am working on Git and GitHub repository. The first tool is which I can go with Git and GitHub repository. Git and GitHub. So what is meant by Git and GitHub repository? This is very, very important. Okay, so we are working on developer perspective. perspective. We are working on developer perspective. So here you need to understand what is Git, how we can work on the Git. Okay, so this is very important. For this I'm trying to go with Git and GitHub repository. So here Git is Git is something like we are working on version control system. We are working on version control system. See, basically if you're working on Git is a version control system. See, basically who is discovered means, definitely I can tell you that Linux evolved in 2005. And so we are working on framework activities like so we are working on something like we are trying to maintain the design process. And what is the goals of Git actually? So the goals of Git is you need to work on speed, you need to work on this non-support development, and we are working with parallel branches, and we are trying to go with fully distributed and able to handle the project's efficiency. Okay, so this is all about the Git. And see here, I'm trying to go with architecture level to understand this case of scenarios. So basically, if you are trying to maintain the network connection, definitely we have a centralized repository. So basically, we are trying to maintain one. So Git having two types of version, that is centralized and distributed, guys. Okay, so we have one centralized repository and we are trying to distribute. So whatever you are working with employees, we are trying to go with, so we are trying to take the requirements and we are trying to give the functionalities of the two centralized repository. Okay, so for everyone, the developer was trying to go with updating. So they'll try to go with writing the source code, they'll try to update, they'll try to delete, they'll try to modify, depends upon the functionalities. We are trying to work on the progress. Okay, so for this we are trying to maintain all these things. So we are trying to go with writing the source code, they'll try to update the source code, they'll try to modify the source code. So this is what we are trying to do according to the activities. Okay, so now here you need to work on very implementation part based upon the client requirements resources. Okay, so this is what we are trying to see the architecture according to the centralized hub. Next, so we'll try to discuss one by one what is installation of Git and what. So basically, what is centralized version control system? This is very important. Centralized version control system means the client won't come to India. He want to give the directly resource to particular company members. He will go with some centralized server and you need to download the files. You need to download all the files from centralized repository. The client is giving the permission to you to download the requirements. That is called centralized hub, and we are trying to do all the activities according to the developer perspective. Okay, that is next. We are trying to go with distributed. So distributed version control means, suppose in your company, so suppose in India you have a lot of branches like Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai. So we have some ex companies working with all the employees. That is 3 branches. They'll try to go with distribution. In this distribution we have versions, so like server. So this is centralized version control system, and this is computer A, computer B. Like suppose he is in Hyderabad, he is in Chennai. He is trying to download all the files. So he will try to clone the files. Okay, that's very, very important. And he will try to go with according to the major factors. Next, we are trying to go with Git snapshots. What is meant by snapshot? Means snapshot is nothing but an image. We are trying to work on the images. So basically, if you are working on images, definitely so whatever they are trying to work on the source code, they'll try to push the source code according to the developer perspective. Okay, so coming to that, so what we have some different types of stages here. I'll try to explain you very clearly about this architecture now. So basically what we are trying to do here is we are trying to go with, I can go with a paint, guys, because to understand this architecture here. Okay, so if you are working on version control system, okay, so now here what I want to say here is, suppose I'm trying to take a cloud now. Okay, I'm trying to take cloud. Okay, this is the cloud, this is the client cloud. Okay, I'm trying to take a client cloud. This is client cloud. So I'm trying to take a client server. We are trying to take as client server. So now we are trying to take a client server. So in this client server we have a requirements and resources. we are trying to take a requirements and resources. Okay, so we have all the resources from the client. Okay, that is you can try to download, and he will give the permissions. He will give the permissions. We are trying to give the permissions. Okay, so now what happens here is, suppose if you're working on company, like suppose I'm taking the X company, I'm trying to take the X company. Okay, so what is X company? Suppose you're working, so the client is working with the contract for your company. Okay, so I'm trying to take a X company here. I'm trying to take a X company. Okay, in this X company, you need to you are trying to work on the 3 stages. Okay, basically what the stages here is, so basically if you are working on Git, okay, so in Git we have two operations. The first one is centralized version control system, and second one is distributed version control system. Distributed version control system. Distributed version control system. Okay, we have centralized and distributed. So what is meant by centralized here? Centralized will works under the client server. We have all the resources, we can take permissions. Okay, and one more thing you need to notice, so whenever you're trying to download the files from the client server to our X company, we have 3 types of stages here. So definitely we need to look on the 3 types of stages. The first one is untracked files, staging area, and we have local repository. Untracked files, staging area, and local repository, guys, very important. So untracked files, the second one is staging area, and we are working with local repository. Untracked files, staging area, and local repository. See, now how can you download the files? So you can download all the files to our local directory. So whatever the files will be there. Okay, I can take some files, guys, to understand this concept. I am trying to go with some files like I am trying to go with F1. I can go with F2. I can go with F3. I can go with F4. I can go with F5. Okay, this is called local folders. So this is comes a picture of local folders. This is called untracked files. Okay, so then we need to do the operation from the untracked files to, I'm trying to go with untracked files to, I want to move with the staging area. Okay, so by using git add dot, so I'm using git add dot, because we need to, once you're trying to do the untracked files, then we are trying to go do the git operations. Okay, git add dot. Then after that, so with once you try to move with the staging area, then we are trying to save the files by using git commit -m. I'm going with any name. You can take Java, you can take anything, Java. Okay, so git commit -m, I'm trying to go with Java. Then we are trying to move with the next one is, we are trying to move with the next stages. We are trying to go with staging area to local repository. So for this, we are trying to do the operation by using git log. So I'm going with git log -one line. I'm trying to go with, so git log -one line, or you can go with git logs. git logs. Okay, so this is what we are trying to do now. Okay, in this we are trying to do as per the operations. Okay, so this is the functionality of git. Actually, this is the functionality of the git. So we are trying to do all the operations here only. Okay, untracked files to staging area to local repository. So now how to install git? Actually, this is very important. So actually I'm using MacBook currently. So basically if you're working on git, very simple guys, please try to download. So I'm currently working on MacBook currently. I have installation already, so don't mind. So git hyphen version, we are working on version. Okay, so I have version actually. Okay, so now basically how to install git here is for Windows laptop. So those who are working with Windows laptop, most probably lot of the members are working with Windows laptop only, I can understand that. So currently whatever I'm trying to go here, so try to install git like this. So git download, see here, git download. So try to go with git download. So try to download the file, see this is the official documentation. This is called official documentation. Now you are trying to go with the Windows laptop. So if you click on this Windows, so now you can get 32-bit version, 64-bit version, 32-bit version, 64-bit version. Try to download this file. So 64-bit version I'm trying to download. See, once it is downloaded, now what we are trying to do, so we are trying to work on the progress. So 64-bit version we are trying to do the progress. Okay, so once you are trying to open the, so let's try to do, so let's go to folder. So see here we have a, so currently MacBook is not supporting to Windows laptop. So Windows version, right click on this. So you have run as administrator. Please try to click on run as administrator. Here we have an option in Windows, run as administrator. Okay, so take all the default actions guys, next. Okay, so once it is installed successfully, so your git will be supports like this. So you can git a client terminal is like this only. Okay, so go for the git hyphen version. You can check the version, you'll get version. Okay, automatically you'll get version. Okay, so for the MacBooks you need to go with like this guys, so I'll try to show you the MacBook also. It is very simple guys. Go to your Mac OS, so here you have some commands. You have terminal right already, so try to install brew install git, and you need to go with sudo port install git. Okay, 2 commands is more than enough. 2 commands are more than enough. You can try to install brew and you can go sudo install git. Okay, so once you try to install, you'll get like this only. So you have a terminal, like this, so go for this. You can go with git. So this is a, so once you've done the installation, you'll get like this, okay, so this is what we are trying to do the git. So if you know the, so if the git is installed or not, you need to go with like this only. Okay, so this is whatever we are trying to do the official, this is called git. Okay, git hyphen version, so you will get git version like this. Okay, so this is what we are trying to maintain the git guys. Tomorrow onwards I'll start git operations. Okay, so tomorrow onwards I'll start git operations. So for now, please try to go with this as per your practice level. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask me in comment section guys. I'll update you as per your scenarios. Okay, so thank you and have a nice day guys. Bye.